Today I'm going to teach you exactly how to time the market so you can be incredibly rich. I'm lying. Hey everyone, it's Greg Frank here. Today I am going to talk about timing the market. So I've been with Empire Flippers for almost 6 years. April will be 6 years for me. And there is a question sellers ask me all the time, and that is, how can I time the exit of my business so I make the vast majority, like the maximum amount of money that I possibly can? What do I do? Do I sell in December? Do I sell in November? Do I sell on a Tuesday? Well, what do I have to do to get this? Tell me the magical number. And the truth is, there is no magic. In fact, this whole idea of trying to sell for the maximum price possible is not always the best idea and has a lot of flaws. So I have a friend, and I have several friends who had this story happen to them in some similar way, but this one was especially painful for my buddy. He had a business that was probably valued right around $500 to closing in on $600,000. Now, the way he had built that business, he knew he was going to get probably on average a 10% lower sales price than if he did all this work to fix the things he had done to the business in terms of his growth, right? So instead of selling that business right away to get that, say, $500,000, he decided to create a 6-month plan to get him up, to bump him up basically another 50 grand, another 60 grand on the time of exit based off our sales data. He's a fan of ours. He was looking at that sales data. You're like, okay, if I can do this, I can increase my ultimate valuation by that extra 10% at least, maybe even more, right? So he went to work, he started working on it, and that 6 months comes and go, and it was about month 5, somewhere around there, Google gives him a nice surprise with an algorithm update. His whole traffic tanks. Everything he did was for naught in that sense. He ended up selling that closing in on $600K business for closer to $300,000. In fact, I think it was less than $300,000, effectively losing over 50% of what he could have sold at if he had decided not to maximize the sale of his business. Now, I'm not saying you should never do anything to maximize the sale of your business, but this is a good example of someone who is trying to time the market, and rightfully so. They were trying to get more money for all the sweat equity they put into building the business, right? It makes total sense. But if you just dig a little bit deeper from the surface, this was a terrible idea, right? He was basically going to expand, maybe get an extra 30, 50K, maybe even an extra $100,000 over that 6-month period. But which one is better? Getting $500,000 now or $600,000 in 6 months? In my view, I would rather have the $500,000. And because he was gunning for that $600K, now he gets to walk away with $300K instead because of what happened here, because he was trying to time the market rather than doing what I actually suggest sellers to do. In order for me to tell you what you should actually do to time the market, so to speak, first I got to talk about a bit of a woo-woo subject, and that is your goals. What are your personal and business goals in life? Now, your personal goals should not be tied to anything about making money. It should just be lifestyle goals or things you want to pursue that are completely unrelated to business. And I challenge you to come up with this, because as entrepreneurs, when we really get going, we forget about non-business stuff. I mean, to be honest, we just throw it away. No, I gotta work. I can't play this video game. I can't, we'll go watch this movie. I'm working, right? So we get really, really caught up in the storm, and that is unhealthy for us, right? We should have personal goals, or what's the point of doing any of this, right? So I would suggest for you to write down some of your personal goals if you do not have them. Now, the second one is your business goals. And this could be not necessarily related to your business, but related to your financial freedom of what you want. Like what's your number? What would get you there, right? And knowing these two things combined is how you know when to sell a business. Because when you sell your business, say you're in this situation like my friend who has a $500,000 business he could sell, you can honestly ask yourself, if I sold this business for $500,000, would that get me significantly closer to my personal or business goals, and hopefully ideally both? And the answer is probably yes for most of us, right? The average retirement amount of money that people are looking at is usually between 1.8 or $2.5 million, depending on your situation. Usually that's enough for me on an average salary once we turn like 60 or whatever. So that would probably get you pretty damn close to where you want to go for most people. Now ask yourself, would waiting 6 months to do $600,000 get me significantly closer? Yeah, a little bit. I wouldn't say significantly. I mean, extra $100,000 certainly helps, but $500,000 in the bank now is a lot better in my view than $600,000 in the bank maybe in 6 months. So because you can use that $500,000 to have tons of investments into other stuff such as real estate, stocks, new businesses. We have a lot of sellers, they sell a business, they take that capital and they go buy other businesses. In fact, this is a whole strategy that some of our customers use. They call the Asset Flywheel, which, link down below if you'd like to check out how that works. Ideally, selling a business should get you closer to these goals. So right now, we're in the hottest sellers market I have ever seen in over half a decade of doing this. There's never been a better time to sell a business, especially using a broker who has a really high qualified buyer network where they can force all those buyers to compete for you. Like just at Empire Flippers alone, we have over $5 billion in verified liquidity from our buyer network looking to deploy that capital into businesses like yours, right? So this is an incredible time to be a seller, but it's also a very dangerous time. And that's because with such a hot market, buyers who are very, very savvy, and usually they are savvier than the seller because they buy multiple businesses versus the seller might only sell one business, they're going to make you offers that seem amazing. They're going to say, look, I'm going to give you $1 million. You have 3 days to decide, right? Sounds awesome. But if you take my advice, you might actually go and accept that deal because oh yeah, $1 million right now, Greg says I should do this, but you should calm down a little bit because you should actually get a broker or someone who knows the valuations of your type of business model to look at it first before you accept any deal. So I'm not telling you to go rush in a deal because you want to get money now. I'm telling you that you should be pragmatic and also think about your personal and business goals on a pragmatic level where that extra $100,000 might not make much sense versus getting that $500K right now where you can start investing that liquidity right away. Either way, you should never rush into selling your business without getting some good expert advice, whether it's from us, from another broker, or shame on you if it is. Actually, I don't care. I hope you do a good job with whatever broker you use, or legal advice, or your accountant, whatever. Get some real expert advice before you actually sell the business. The key here is to understand what your business and personal goals are, and if you are going to get closer to that when you sell your business. So at the end of the day, if you really wanted to time the market, it just comes down to that, your personal and business goals. And it is perfectly okay for you to sell a business that isn't maximized on the sales price. In fact, that will actually make it easier for you to sell the business most likely because there's probably a lot more potential, a lot more things that a buyer would be looking for that makes sense, that where they can buy your business and grow it. Like we've had situations where a seller really wanted to maximize their valuation, basically optimized everything to the nth degree. And most buyers just could not imagine where to take the business, and they really struggled selling the businesses because it is too optimized, right? So you leave a little bit on the table to collect that money so that they have growth and then you get the capital. At the end of the day, selling your business is all about opening up what I like to call the doors of possibilities. When you sell your business, this is when you really become free from the algorithms, from the machines controlling our lives as entrepreneurs, right? The Google and Amazon and Facebook algorithms of the world no longer own you. You have taken out all that hard equity that you've warred for so long, and now you are truly free. I often say the entrepreneurial dream is filled with cracks and flaws because no one understands what kind of hamster wheel a successful entrepreneur can find themselves on, and it's very disheartening when you're building the business like that. But when you go and sell your business, that is when the entrepreneurial dream of freedom really comes true. You get that life-changing capital. It opens up doors of possibilities, things that you never in 1,000 years could have done unless you sold your business with that capital. You are opening up your ability to make moves you never could before. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Remember, don't time the market. Focus on your personal and business goals. That will serve you much better and get you closer to financial freedom, in my opinion, than anything else. Talk to you later. Bye.